Always a great time having my next guest on the program. It's Vanessa Demopoulos, who picked up a split decision victory over Emily Ducote this past weekend at UFC Vegas 92. Vanessa, always good to talk to you. I was wondering, initially just how nervous maybe you were before the judges rendered the decision. I thought you won rounds 2 and 3. What did you and your team think?
I honestly thought that I had won that fight like pretty decisively when they were starting to read off the scorecard. So I was a little bit surprised that one of the judges had given it to Emily. But I mean, it really was an amazing scrap. So that's okay. I understand. But normally, like sometimes it'll go to the judges' scorecards and I just don't know. You just don't know. But that time I really was confident.
You came into the third round too, very aggressive. You landed that big shot, which is I definitely feel like swayed the round to you. What did your team tell you going into the third round? Basically, just to kind of empty the gas tank and give it all you got.
No, they told me stop leading with your hook. um the that like that's really all I remember. Like there's like so much that's happening in between the rounds and everything, but I just really remember them saying like stop leading with your hook. And I was like, shit, okay. So and then I still continued to lead with my hook. Yeah, there was I felt like I was doing really, really good. I felt like I was doing really good. Yeah.
Emily's a very good boxer. She's very technical. Did you have a game plan going in against her?
Well, a lot of the game plan went out the window when I had hurt my shoulder. So it was really difficult to even concentrate on anything else. The game plan was throw a lot of kicks, take her down. But we knew that she had great wrestling defense. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to be a kickboxer today. And I did throw a lot of kicks, but my right hand didn't seem to bother me at all while I was inside the octagon. So it really helped.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that in the post-fight interview. How much did that affect you before the fight mentally? Because I'm sure, I mean, I wondered, thinking, well, what did you pull out before? Did that even cross your mind?
It crossed my mind literally when it happened. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to fight? And then I went to sleep that night, hardly slept, because I was like just thinking about all of the potentials that could happen. And I was like, man, I can do this. I was like, I know that I can do this. Like, she's going to be so fucking tough, but I have to believe in myself and I have to just go out there and know that I've done all of the work necessary. I have the cardio. I have so many other tools in the belt to be able to go out there and accomplish greatness, even without an arm. But like I said, it didn't affect me during the fight. But everything leading up, it was a rough ride to really just like go all in on yourself and just believe in yourself.
So, what exactly happened? How did you hurt your arm?
It was really dumb because so the final week of fight camp is supposed to be like the most boring week of your life, right? And you're supposed to be doing just really low impact stuff. And I decided to pick up my coach and I fell onto my arm and he fell with me, because I picked him up and that's what happened. Yeah. And
Oh,
I
wow.
was it was really stupid and it was something I did. So there we go.
So you won't be doing that again at any point in the future.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be doing it again in the future for sure. I'm gonna do it again, but I should be smarter on when I do it again. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, with where you're at now too, I feel like you're knocking on the doorstep to get maybe into the top 15. That's got to be so much more of a difficult decision too to go into a fight knowing you're not 100% because each fight is so important for you at this stage of your career.
I mean, I feel like every fight is so important no matter where you're at in your career. Every fight is the most important fight of your whole life. And I mean, it's, yeah, like every fight is the most important fight of your life. It doesn't matter where you are in the stage. When I was in the LFA, every single fight in the LFA was the most important fight that I've ever had in my whole entire life. And this is what we do. We risk it all for greatness and we walk into that octagon against the odds, which the odds were already against me. I was a plus 300 underdog. Like, what do I got to lose at this point? I just really knew that I had done the work. That's it. I just really believe in myself and I always believe in myself because I do the fucking work every single time.
And I know, a goal for you, Vanessa, has to be one day to win the UFC belt. You're 35 now, right? So that has to be pressing, right? Like you say, each fight is the most important one of your career, moving forward. But like right now, it's like now or never, though, isn't it?
It's not.
You don't think so?
No.
You think you still have a lot
Fuck
more
no.
time?
I do. I forget that I'm 35. Like even like you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I am.
Well, you don't look it
um,
for what it's worth.
Oh, thank you, thank you. No, honestly, like when I fucking went pro when I was like 28 or 29 or something like that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, you're knocking on the door. You only got a few fights left." I was like, "Okay, okay," and you just keep fucking fighting. And I take really good care of myself. I sleep really well. I take all my vitamins. I eat my fucking vegetables. Like I do the things that are necessary to be able to take care of my body for the longevity, and I think that it really shows, thankfully. I don't feel whatever that age you're supposed to feel is when you hit that. I don't fucking know what that shit means. Like right now I'm still rocking and rolling, and I guess my body will let me know when that starts happening. But dude, don't speak that shit into my life. I got so much time left.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair enough. I just,
Yeah.
you hear it a lot with fighters when they get to this point, I guess age wise, it's a discussion that happens a lot. So you think that, we could see you for another 10 years into your mid 40s potentially?
Who knows, man? Like I'm just living and loving it. Like I don't know how long I'll be fighting for, but I don't even like thinking about that shit because it's like, why are we even talking about that? Like I feel amazing. What the fuck?
Okay.
Did you see me out there?
You
Do
look
I
great.
look like I'm slowing down?
No,
Like,
not at all. Not at all.
all
Well,
right, okay, just checking, just checking.
okay. Very good. So how would you rate your performance scale of 1 to 10? Obviously, there's always a couple things to critique here and there, but how pleased are you overall with what you did?
I mean, I'd give myself like a 7. 6.5 or 7. I feel like there's a lot of things that I can work on, a lot of things that I can work on. But I was really happy with my level of aggression. I need to believe in myself a little bit more when I'm out there. I felt like I didn't want to like exert too much energy because I wanted to be able to like make it through all the rounds, and like I didn't know how my arm was going to hold up and all of that. But honestly, like yeah, I was fucking fine. Like if I just got out of my own head, like so many more things could have happened in that fight. But I was like holding the reins back a little bit. So I do have enough to be able to let go a little bit more in the cage.
Anything that Emily did or didn't do that surprised you at all?
Honestly, no. Well, when we got to the ground, I felt like she just held on to me, and I was like expecting a little bit more jujitsu because she's a black belt as well. So I was expecting her to engage a little bit more, but she didn't. Her wrestling defense was what I thought it was going to be. She has good wrestling defense. Her striking was what I thought it was going to be. Just, straight punches, and she was patient. So that was predicted. But yeah, I really thought she was going to scramble a little bit more with me on the floor, and she didn't. So I guess that surprised me.
All right. Well, again, congrats on the win. That makes you 5-2 now in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. How did you celebrate the win? What did you do post fight? What was the food of choice?
The food of choice was steak. That's all I wanted. It was this big old giant tomahawk steak. I kept seeing videos of tomahawk steaks everywhere, so I went and got myself one. And I spent so much time with my family, honestly. Like that was so heartfelt to me. I flew my family in to come and watch me fight. And yeah, so I spent the weekend with them. I was a little bit quieter on social media just because I was being so present
Mhm.
with them and just making sure that I was creating those memories. And that was
Yeah,
really special to me.
very
Yeah.
cool. I think the UFC they panned to your family a couple times throughout the fight. It was kind of cool to see that. I wanted to ask you too, just about your media work. You're doing some analyst work. I believe you were just over in Abu Dhabi. How is that all going for you?
I love it so much. I've been commentating jujitsu more recently, and honestly, like it's it's my heart, Like I love fighting, I love studying fighting, I love talking about fighting. So it's like to give me an opportunity to be on a microphone and interview other fighters. I love being a reporter and just giving them that light because I know what that feels like to have that light shined on me, and I want to be able to help other athletes shine in the same way. So it's really heartfelt for me. I love the analyst work. I love the commentating, and I just love being a part of the sport in general.
Do you think at some point down the line, maybe if Megan O'Leary wants a night off, they could kick it to Vanessa Demopoulos to be doing some interviews post fight?
I would be beyond honored. Megan O'Leary is like such an icon for the sport at this point. So yeah, that would be an incredible thing if I started to work with ESPN over at the UFC.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. Let me ask you a little bit about the
Really?
115.
Are you serious? Get out
Dead
of here.
serious. Yeah, I think you can do it all, Vanessa. And I'm not, and I definitely earlier, I wasn't trying to bring up any negative juju about the age. You got a lot of time left. Don't forget it. Let me ask you about Weili Zhang in the 115-pound division. She just looks terrifying right now. Who do you feel like right now is the person that could dethrone her? Is it Tatiana Suarez or does someone else come to mind?
I think Tatiana really like she's got a lot of fucking weapons. I actually get to train with Tatiana often. We're both over at Extreme and we're on the mats at the same time quite often. She's really friendly in person. But I just she's just so dominant with her wrestling and she's so amazing. She's fucking aggressive. Tatiana has that just like killer ass mindset and I feel like she's just been knocking on the door for so long. I can't wait for that fight to happen. I think I love Wei Li as well. Like as a person, she's just the sweetest little thing. And I see her at the Performance Institute all the time when she's here doing her fight camps. But we don't train together. And I think Wei Li is a very well-rounded martial artist. But I think Tatiana has that just like sheer killer aggression to go out there and potentially dethrone Wei Li.
Yeah, I sure hope that that's the next title fight that we get. I think the UFC would be making a big mistake if they don't match Tatiana next with Weili.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I think Tatiana definitely deserves the next title shot.
Also wanted to ask you a little bit about Ronda Rousey and I guess the controversy and stuff that's going on right now and just your thoughts on, if she were in her prime right now and she came back and she was in the UFC, how do you think she'd do with the fighters that are there today? Because we continue to see evolution and the game is just so many fighters are getting more and more well-rounded, more dynamic. I just wanted to get your thoughts on her and if she was to come back and fight today.
Oh, Ronda gets her ass kicked if she comes back to the UFC. Period. Like she never had the striking skills to be able to stand up with the girls that are in there now. I feel like the division has just grown so much. All of the girls are so well rounded. You know, you see grapplers who are now strikers. Look at me, I'm a striker now, apparently, right? And super underrated because I'm supposed to be the jiu-jitsu black belt. You know, you have judo athletes that are coming in there and they're showing off striking. You have strikers who are coming in there and they're submitting people now in the UFC. Everybody is well rounded. Nobody is underrated anymore. And I feel like Ronda came in there at the perfect time for the perfect storm to be able to have a very niche skill set, to be able to just dominate the way that she did. But her walking into the UFC today, it's a different animal. It's a different animal than it was when she was there.
Have you ever met Ronda?
Never in person, no. But
Never
I
in
mean,
person.
I've heard that she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how, like, when you're in the public eye, people just want to crucify you for everything, and she's like a perfect example of just a lot of trolls and people that, run with something and want to talk a lot of trash. How do you handle that? Does it ever happen to you? I try to stay off social media as much as I can if possible, but like, how do you handle that mentally?
Man, I feel like I feel for Rhonda too in the sense of like she says that she was dealing with certain types of injuries that like she didn't really want to publicize because she was on a freaking whirlwind, right? And it's like, well, don't slow down the locomotion, but also she really did need to heal herself. But it's like you got to get it while it's hot, right? So, oh my gosh, Rhonda, I'm sorry, there was a dog that came up. Rhonda has been doing all of the amazing things to be able to go out there. She took advantage of the situation, but it's hard, man. When people want to talk shit on you and they don't know you, and you're like, man, like if you were in my position, like what would you do? Like I've had to go into fights with certain situations. Like, okay, I won my fight this weekend, but if I didn't, I wouldn't have sit there and been like, oh well, my shoulder, oh my shoulder. Like, no, I wouldn't have said shit, you know. But people don't know that. They don't see all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So I feel like as someone in the public eye, you kind of have to just accept that you're living a life that people don't know about. And all they see is the 15 minutes that you're out there inside of that octagon, the 5 minutes that you get the microphone. And aside from that, They don't see the rest of your life. So it is what it is. People are going to talk whatever they're going to say.
Speaking of bullies, I saw a clip, a podcast that you did a while back about you talking about sticking up for people when you were younger. You get in a lot of fights, and you were even like going up and punching guys in the face. Is that true? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I got kicked out of school for fighting. But I never hit any girls. I got kicked out of school for fighting boys. So like what would happen is like I would see some kid getting picked on, right? And I'm like, man, like that kid should not be getting picked on. Like he can't stick up for himself. He's not going to defend himself. Like he's just like shy and quiet. So I would walk up to the dude and be like, hey, fucking pick on someone your own size. And then I'd deck him, and then he'd deck me back. And now we're fighting. And that would happen often. Like it wasn't just like a one off, like that happened all the time. Or like I would see some guy who's just like generally always picking on people. And then I'd go up to him and like say something to him, and then like he'd say something back and then I'd deck him. I was always the first one to punch. Like, I don't know. I was just known for fighting and I was known for fighting dudes. And I did get kicked out of school for fighting. I got kicked out of 4 schools in 1 calendar year, mainly for fighting. So it was pretty crazy.
Did you was there ever like a guy that was just significantly bigger that you thought twice of it, or did you just didn't matter? You're just gonna go deck people if you saw them bullying someone.
Yeah, dude. Like, I didn't care. Like, yeah, all of the guys were bigger than me. I'm a small human now. I was small then, One of the guys I remember, he was like towering over everybody. I didn't care. I walked up to him and I fucking decked him. And he actually, this very particular person who I'm talking about, he used to bully me. And then I saw him bullying someone else. And that's when I went up and decked him. I didn't care. No. And sometimes I got my ass beat too. Don't care. Yeah. I was gonna stand up for what I was gonna stand up for. Yeah.
That's very admirable. I'll tell you a story real quick. When I was in high school, I played football, and there was this one kid that would get picked on a lot, and I'll never forget it. All the cheerleaders were out in the gym getting ready to practice, and this kid like just got out of the shower, had his towel around him, and one of the older kids who liked to pick on people grabbed him, ripped the towel off of him, and picked him up and threw him out in the gym and shut the door behind him. And so he was just standing there trying to cover himself. And I always regretted not like doing something. But like at that point, like in my life, if I would have stood up, I would have got my ass kicked. So I wish I would have done what you did because I would think back about it now and been like, oh, maybe I got a broken nose, but I should have stuck up for the kid.
Yeah. I feel like I get it. Like, dude, physical confrontation is always so hard. But like, I grew up fighting with my little sister. Like, poor, poor sis. Like, she was like my first sparring partner, right? No, but it's like we were very, very, very physical. So it's like you're not gonna win them all. And I think like the very first time that I ever went up and like hit somebody, I got my ass kicked, right? And I was like, well, shit, that's not so bad. Like, I didn't die. And I wish that I think bullying would be a lot less if people actually did that.
Yeah.
Like stuck up for each other or even stuck up for themselves. I think we wouldn't have so many mental health issues with kids if people were a little bit more physical. And we wouldn't have so much bullshit online if people got punched in the face every now and again. So I'm all for physical violence. I think that it's appropriate in, in necessary times. Yeah.
I'm totally with you. I agree with everything you just said. Let me ask you, Vanessa, before we get you out of here, timeline of your next fight. When are you hoping to jump back in there? And do you have a name? Is there someone that you feel like would make the most sense for your next fight?
I don't have a name, but I do want to fight within the next 6 months. UFC does a really amazing job at matching us up. I'm gonna let Nick do his job, and I'll let my manager Jason do his job. And yeah, line them up. I'm game, man. I'm a fighter. I'm in here to do this shit.
Do you feel like by year's end you will crack the top 15?
I fucking hope so. We'll see, but I fucking hope so. Yeah, I think like when I first got in the UFC, I was like a dog on a chain, like let me in there. Like I just want to be in the chain. Ah. And now I'm like, man, I'm just gonna keep winning fights, like just do what's in front of me. If I fucking go in there and I show up every single day, good shit's gonna happen. And that's all I gotta do. Yeah.
Well, congrats on the win. Always pleasure talking with you, Vanessa. Hopefully, we can do it again, maybe before your next fight. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, man. I wouldn't have been able to go out there into that fight, not being able to lift my arm on Tuesday and being able to fight on Saturday. Like that's a miracle. It's a miracle, it's a blessing. And keep your mindset strong, keep your heart strong, and keep your spirit stronger. And all things are possible.